Starbird here. I'm just getting ready to go out in the dinghy, and I'm testing a trolling motor, electric motor option for dinghy travel. We've always had a small outboard, most recently a 2.5 horsepower Suzuki, to do the work when I don't feel like rowing. But it pooped out on us this spring, even though I try and do a good job of cleaning it out with fresh water and that. After 10 years, the salt somehow got in, I guess through a seal that failed, and seized up the spline drive between the head and the prop shaft. And it would cost more to fix it than to replace it. I did find another outboard replacement, but a used one at a good price. But we're going to try this out as well. So what I have here is a Motorguide Stealth 30, old-fashioned trolling motor, all metal, heavy. It only has 30 pounds of thrust, which is pretty small compared with current models. But it does work, and it was very cheap on Facebook Marketplace. I did try it previously with an old Group 31 deep cycle flooded battery, but that weighed 65 pounds and hard to get in and out of the dinghy, and it just wasn't going to work if the electric was going to take over. So I acquired a couple of deep cycle Renogy lithium iron phosphate batteries, 100 amp hours, the smaller box, so they're not as big as they were before. They're also not as heavy. This one weighs just over 20 pounds. You can find slightly lighter ones, but this is good. It was a good price. It also has cold water shut off if needed, or sorry, cold temperature shut off. It is not self-heated, but I think the two of them were worked out to $430 Canadian each, which is pretty good these days when you compare it to an AGM or even a flooded battery. And the technology it's much better. So we're giving it a try, and the idea is that these batteries will go into our truck camper for the winter when we go down to the desert. But we'll see how far this one takes us with this motor. If I like it, I'll be searching around over the winter season looking for a newer, better trolling motor, more power, maybe even a brushless motor in it. Just lighter, hopefully not too expensive, but I'll be able to keep my eyes open and see what we get. But today I'm going to take it out with the lithium battery, see how it runs, give a bit of a tour of the Prideaux Haven Desolation Sound complex of the provincial park, and take it from there. So we will see you on the water. Here's Starbird sitting at anchor. Not very crowded in here. It's September 20th, last day of summer. So let's see if we can get this thing going. One reason I need a shorter shaft is I don't want to be having my arm up over top of my head all the time controlling this long one. But so this motor has 5 forward speeds and 3 reverse, and this is just speed number 1, and we are chugging along into the sun. I'm going to go the opposite way so you're not blinded, but here's Starbird. It's our old 1980 Mainship 34 Mark 1 trawler. Pretty basic boat, good old Perkins motor in it, and it needs cosmetic work and a few updates, but mostly it's just cosmetic cleanup that we require here. So it's a beautiful day on September 20th, 2023, and Prideaux Haven is a really neat place. There's 3 anchoring areas, 3 coves. We are in Prideaux Haven itself. Behind us, behind these trees over here, is Melanie Cove, which is more protected, less sun, a little tighter, lots of stern tie rings. In the summertime it's a parallel parking extravaganza in there. And then way off we're going to be heading down towards Laura Cove, which is another anchorage and a little farther from sort of downtown Prideaux Haven. But I got to turn on the GPS now. When we started, I did a battery check and we were at 13.4 volts. Anyway, so we're going to step up in pace here. Pretty quiet. So this is speed number 3. And there are lots of jellyfish here, and little fingerlings squirting around. So right now we are going 3.4 kilometers an hour. We'll take it up to full speed. Well, the bow's popped out. We're going to get on plane here. Speed number 5, top speed. Right now it tells me 5.8 kilometers an hour on my GPS. There are all these little side channels and little bays and coves, which boats can't really get into. It's more kayak and dinghy exploring. But so far, 5.8 kilometers per hour, which is, I guess, just about 4 miles an hour. Top speed with this old trolling motor. Check back later. We are approaching Laura Cove. There's one boat in one of the little corners of Laura. It's not the main area, and the park has been putting in these buoys right in at the bow of this motorboat. There's a white standing buoy, and it is a no anchoring restoration area, eelgrass zone. They're trying to bring back the eelgrass, which is a good habitat for a lot of the local marine areas, and in many cases they've found that the park anchorages have been hurt, or at least the bottom surface of the water has been hurt because of boat anchors dragging and tearing up the grasses. So the last couple of days, the park boat's been out and it's dropped 4 or 5 of them that we've seen. So as I say, this boat was just in a little corner of Laura. The main part of it is right in front of us and it's completely empty, which is interesting. There are some stern tie rings on the rock faces of the shoreline, but as of now, this guy here behind us has it all to himself. We're cruising, holy cow, got up to 6.4 kilometers an hour. That's a record, I think. I didn't get that fast with the deep cycle battery, and cool. The mountains that you see in the background are the mainland coast range of mountains, the BC coast, and most of them have snow well into the springtime. They're high, and then this one here on the left is not on the mainland. That's on East Redonda Island, and it is just about 5,000 feet, 1,600 meters from the ocean to the top, and it's forested right up. So even when you have high mountains, when you're on the coast, you tend to have lots of trees. We are in a temperate coastal rainforest here, but it has been a great spring and summer and fall so far. Not good for the wildfires, but certainly for cruising boats, very nice. And this open body of water is Homfray Channel. It's almost like a fjord. Once it goes around the corner, at the corner of East Redonda, it just goes up, towards the mainland, and it's fjord-like. So I'm going to cruise along a little bit in the big water here. Big water is not really big today, but so be it. I'm going to go back. So we're sort of outside the park area, Homfray Passage, and we're looking across to the north to East Redonda. West Redonda is further to our left. And this is an interesting rock here that I've always enjoyed coming out to, whether it was rowing or dinghying. So we're just going to take it down a notch to speed number 1. Miles or so. So we're just idling along now at speed number 1, 2.5 kilometers an hour. And as I say, the park has all of these small islands and rocks and islets, along with, the mainland. And I'm going to go in straight ahead and then work my way through a couple of the passages and then back out to the main entrance. So, we've just come through this little passage, good for kayaks, dinghies, nothing else. We're in about at a 13-foot tide right now. It'll be going down to 4 feet at 5:30 tomorrow morning, and just would not work as a passageway for a big boat. But looking around here, when we had the smaller pocket trawler, we used to work our way in here and anchor just about, well, here we're going to pass Starbird off in the distance there, but right about here you could anchor, and you were basically surrounded by rocks and reefs. A small boat could swing at anchor safely, just one boat. But now they're not wanting any boats in here. They've put out these buoys about the eelgrass, so be it. Action on it. And we're going to cut through here out to the main channel again, and then come in the main entrance to the park. Just cruising through this little channel between the William Islets. It gets very shallow here. I don't know if you can see any difference in color, but when I was through here yesterday, I was basically scraping the bottom of the dinghy. This is more where Mrs. Starbird kayaks through. But anyway, I think we're safe at this water level. We'll just push on through. And the hillside you see way off on the horizon is on West Redonda Island. So it's not as tall as the one on East Addenbrooke, but we have climbed up to the top. Great view over there, but a lot of work. So we're really in shallow water here. Probably anything below a 10-foot tide, I wouldn't be getting through here. And we're only going at speed number 2. I'm going to take it up a notch to 3. .1 kilometers an hour at speed number 3. And at the end of the video, I'll give a wrap-up of distance and battery state of charge and all the rest of it. Speeds. So we'll see you at the entrance coming into Prideaux. The Prideaux Haven, Desolation Sound, main entrance. Backlit a bit, so you might have trouble seeing some detail, but you have to make an S-bend from open water to get in here because there's a rock reef, and then there's these other rocks right in front of us, and over on the starboard side, the right side, there is rocks sticking out there too. So it looks wide open when there's a lot of water here. At low tide, if you're coming in, it's easier to see where you have to go. And on the rock with the Desolation Sound sign. I think I can get closer to it. Is one of the last obstacles before you can get in and enjoy. So, Provincial Marine Park with the BC provincial flower, the dogwood, in the round part, and then Desolation Sound on the sign below. And they got to do some work on the sign. It's every year it gets more and more weathered. And we're going over some very shallow area here. And I'm not going to go too far into the area on our right. It's where the big boats hang out. There's a big old one there that we've seen in Campbell River before, right in front. Last night there was a beautiful old woody called Discovery, which is swinging free. And we're going to just head around the corner here to our left into Melanie Cove, which is sort of the safest of the anchorages. It's from the point of wind and waves, it's almost a hurricane hole. So we'll see you when we get into Melanie. So a couple of kayakers heading out of Melanie. This is the entrance to Melanie Cove. Small rock cliff on the north side, and basically treed right to the water line on the south side or right side. We'll go in and have a look around. We're in Melanie Cove. This is the shady south side because of the trees. Not many hiking opportunities in Desolation Sound, but there are a couple from Melanie. The longest, most interesting one is here, just in the corner. There's a park sign there, and it's hard to tie your dinghy up and scramble on shore, but this trail is about 4 kilometers, 2.5 miles, and it leads to Unwin Lake, which coincidentally also has a trail from Tornadoes Bay, just a bit to the west of us, west. And from Tornadoes Bay, it is only about a 5-minute walk to the lake. In fact, we've portaged Mrs. Starbird's kayak from the saltwater landing there to the lake, and she's kayaked for hours in the lake. It's a fair size. But from here, you can also get there. It climbs up the ridge here and then back down the other side, skirts around I guess you'd call it a marsh or a pond, lots of reeds and weeds. The trail goes around part of it and then heads off again and eventually comes to the shoreline of Unwin Lake and follows it for a kilometer or two before you get to the trail connection that would lead the short way to Tornadoes Bay if you wanted to do it. So that's one hiking possibility. There is a second one way down at the end here behind the island, and we will visit it soon. So we're basically at the head of Melanie Cove right now. There's this little island, and we have enough water to get around it. On the south side, it's very shallow and wouldn't work if the tide was much lower. a little more water on the other side, as we exit around it. It's a little easier access. And what I'm going to show you is right at the head of the Cove. There's a stream that comes in, and beside the stream there's a bit of a trail, a walking trail. None of these are really official hiking trails or anything, but this trail leads up over the ridge here and back down the other side and comes out at Laura Cove, which we visited earlier. And now here's a stern tie ring for those of you that might not be familiar with the idea. So basically bolted into the rock face. Some of them are put in by BC Park, or they're all put in by BC Parks, but some are sponsored by various groups or businesses. And it just allows people to anchor out and then tie their sterns to the chain and be able to then not swing and take up a lot of space, because wherever these things are found, it's in popular locations where, especially in the summertime, there could be dozens of boats trying to get in here and just not enough room for everybody to anchor and swing at anchor freely. So this helps by having boats sort of parallel park and stay put. If the wind changes or whatever, they're not going to go too far. Here's another one here coming up, the little yellow metal tag on it, and then the shiny silver tag talks about it, who put it in, and basically use at your own risk. And there's a bunch of them along the shore in various national and provincial marine parks on the BC coast. It'll hold you in place. So we're going to leave Melanie out at the opening way up ahead and then just make the turn and head back to Starbird. And so we're out of Melanie Cove, heading back across Prideaux Haven anchorage to our Starbird. And the powerboat that was sort of our neighbor is not here anymore, so it's just us, which is nice. And so we are back home. Starbird awaits. That was the tour of Prideaux Haven section of Desolation Sound Provincial Marine Park, and I will come back to you. A bit later with some of the data from the electric trolling motor dinghy test. So we'll see you in a bit.